I'm just trying to get this set up so that you're not at an angle. I think I need to prop this up a little bit differently. Let me let me see what I can figure out. Certainly I have something around here that I can straighten out my computer with. Let me know if it's okay. If it looks funny or there's something that's glaring and bothering the view, then let me know so I can fix it. That's why I wanted to get on a minute or so ahead of time. So let's see here. Maybe this book will help it. Is that better or worse? Let's see. Let's see here. I could be a little closer. Okay. Maybe that'll do it. All right. I've got my coffee. Actually, it's decaf, so, but I have something to drink, nice and warm. How about you? What's your drink of choice this morning? And welcome. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And so I thought I would start doing these live streams so that we can all sew together and chat about our projects and see what's going on with everybody. So hopefully you are at your sewing machine. And let's see, we're just kind of testing things out here. And I will reintroduce myself in just a minute after we get a couple of people on here. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to wait just a minute. Make sure I have all my tools here that I think I'm going to need. Got a couple little tables set up here. I need some hand lotion. You keep your hand lotion right by you. You know, fabric can dry out your hands as well as this winter weather. So I keep my lotion right here, right by my machine. I gotta see what color thread I have in here today. I think I'll change my color thread as well. Good morning. How is everybody? All right. Different thread color for today. I think we're going to go with white. Oh, it looks like I'm going to need to wind a bobbin too. Well, I guess I should have thought of that before, huh? All right, let's get that out of the way. Let's wind a bobbin. I'm sewing with Aurifil thread today, although I like it, but I can't say that it has to be Aurifil or nothing. I bought big cones of it, and so that's very convenient because those cones just last a really, really long time. So I'll just wind a couple of bobbins and be ready to start. Welcome again. We just want to thank everybody for being here. I'm glad you could make it in and join me this morning. We're just hanging out here waiting for the winter storm to hit. I'm in Indiana. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And so here in Indiana, in our area, we are expecting around 8 to 10 inches of snow, but that probably won't start until late this afternoon, although I haven't had a chance to check my weather this morning. So if you are in the path of the snowstorm, I hope that you stay safe and hope you're ready for it. Let's see. But as long as we have power, we can sew, right? I have a hand project also, so if all else fails, as long as I have a little bit of light, I've got my hand project I can work on too. I just finished a binding last night. I went for it and I just did the whole binding last night, and I usually spread it out over a couple of nights, but this one I just went ahead and got it done. I was really glued to the couch last night. So, do you have a favorite show while you're watching, or when you're sewing, what do you like to watch or listen to? Are you a music fan? Are you just listening to something with your earbuds, or here's my trash can. Got to get my trash can here. Or do you watch old movies, new movies, listen to audiobooks? What do you like to do when you're sewing? I often like nothing. I often just sew in silence and listen to the hum of the machine and talk to myself. So, and then sometimes I will, in the evenings, I'll put something on Netflix and watch a show or two. These days, I like some foreign films, and so that means I'm also trying to read subtitles while it's going and while I'm sewing, and that gets a little tricky. So maybe I don't sew quite as fast as when I'm listening to or watching something in English, but that's okay. So again, I want to welcome everybody. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And if you'd like to share where you're from, where you live, in a general area, region, state, country, that'd be really fun. I'd love to know where you're joining me from, and that would just I'd just love to know where everybody is located, more or less. Are you in the path of the storm, or are you away from that? And so let me know. And then tell me what you're working on this morning. Are you sewing, stitching, knitting, cross stitching? Are you what's on your work table this morning? So, I am working on a new project, and it's called the Disappearing Hourglass. It is a free tutorial from Missouri Star Quilt Company. At least that's the one that I'm using. I bet there's tons of them. And if you didn't see, I guess I should bring a block over here. Excuse me, just a minute. Let me go grab one of those. And I can walk you through how to do this now, because I've made a couple of them, and dang, it's fun. It is such a great fun block to make. So this is the block I'm doing. Disappearing Hourglass. And it is made with pairs of 10-inch squares. So I am using all whites, and all red inspired prints on the other side. And a friend of mine made this whole quilt. I just quilted it for her and got it back to her, and I loved it so much that I wanted to make one of these as well. So I went into my stash, and I now have cut all 42 of my print squares. Can you see? Maybe I can flip through these a little bit. A lot of capes, not all capes, but a lot of capes. I'm kind of backwards here. So, but nice hot colors. Good for a cold day, right? Maybe that's why I wanted to work on it right away. So I have 42 squares of prints cut, and 42 Kona white is what I'm using. Again, cut from yardage. I do have a lot of layer cakes, but I didn't have a layer cake like this that I wanted to, that I had available. So I cut up my stash for it. And I did that yesterday. And made a couple of these test blocks. So let's see. Oh, Christy Lou, thanks for joining us. You're doing sashing and more sashing. Yes, when you're doing that much sashing, I bet you need a little distraction. I am happy to be your distraction and your buddy while you sew on lots and lots of sashing. Yeah. Oh, okay. And Mary, hi. Oh, you haven't seen my blue machine? This machine is I bought it used from a local shop maybe 2 years ago. And I loved it because of the blue. I had to have it. It's an older Bernina. It's a 153, which means it's circa late 1990s, I think, was its when it was made. And so I just love the blue, and I'm thinking about switching out to one of my other machines later, but I didn't want to do it mid-project. And so I am waiting until I'm kind of in between a couple of projects, and then I feel like I can switch safely. So yeah, I don't know that you can find these 153s except on secondary markets, because obviously Bernina has way past a 153 at this point. So anyway, I am making this, and when I first saw this block or this quilt that my friend made, I was thinking it was so complicated. I was looking at it going, okay, I need to make this, take a square and then put a corner on, put one corner on it, and do that for all 4 corners. And then I need to make this unit with the strips and the extra corners on those, and then make a 4 patch for the middle. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to make that. That's like way more complicated than I want to figure out right now. And then my friend Jane, I said, Jane, do you know the name of this block? Have you seen it? And she did Google image. Why didn't I think of Google image? She Google imaged it, and it turned out to be a disappearing hourglass block. Who knew? So anyway, what I am doing is I'm going to grab a white square and a red square, print square, and I'm going to put a couple of pins in, but then I'm going to sew all the way around all 4 edges. After you sew around all 4 edges, then you cut it on both diagonals. and that gives you 4 half square triangles. And yes, those half square triangles are on the bias, but amazingly, I have found that it's okay, that I can work with it. I thought it was going to be a problem. I really did. But I have found that it hasn't been a problem. And so I am really enjoying making these blocks. So let me go ahead and at least get started on one of these. And Mary, what are you going to work on? Are you going to sew this morning? Are you feeling okay today? Any better? I think these live streams are really great also for any of you who can't get out of the house right now or don't want to get out of the house or aren't feeling too great. I know my friend Carol is also dealing with some health issues, and I guess we all do from time to time. I've been very, very fortunate, been very lucky that I have not had any recent health issues. And so I'm thankful for that. So there's one side. So this little 153 machine does not sew fast. It really doesn't have a, I think that's one of the things that probably you give up when you get an older machine, perhaps. I don't know. This one does not seem to be really, really fast. That's why I guess I was thinking that maybe I would switch over to my Janome, and because it does stitch a bit faster and it has the thread cutter on it. So this one, I'm using a lot of leader enders or these little things to thread catchers. When I sew with this one, and that's okay too. It's 2 sides. Get all the way around here. So I at least want to do one to show you because I think it's really, really slick. Whoever figures these things out, just genius. All right, so I've sewn all the way around all 4 sides. Can you see the stitching along the edge there? Since I cut these and these weren't layer cakes, they match up really well. And when you use layer cakes, I know that they're not really always the same size. And when I was watching the tutorial, Jenny's tutorial, she said, just pick one and stick with it. Just choose one of them to be the correct size, and then don't try trimming everything down. So I thought that was kind of good advice. All right, so I'm going to press this. I've got set up my ironing board right here. And then I have my rotating mat right here. And I'm going to cut on both diagonals. And I don't think you're going to really be able to see this very well. I really don't know. Let's see if I can just change this. Maybe is that a little better? Maybe you can see a little bit. I like using a rotating mat because that way I don't have to move my pieces at all. So one diagonal, turn it around and line it up. Don't let the pieces move at all. All right. So now I have 4 half square triangles. So let me go press those. And I'll handle them gently, but they're not really going to stretch. They really don't. I'm telling you, I've seen this before. You're going to want to make one of these. It's just so cool. And yes, I do like to snip off these little dog ears. And I do not trim these up at this point. Matter of fact, I don't think I did any trimming at all for the whole thing. Maybe I could give you a measurement on this though. But I like these big blocks. All right, so this is uh, 6 3/4 inches right now, 6 3/4 inches. So I'm going to lay these out like an hourglass. And so for an hourglass block, you have 2 facing into the center print and then 2 white facing into the center. I think you can see that pretty well. And then I'm going to sew these together into a block. And because I press towards the print, at this point, my seams match. Or my seams will nest. And so they will lay very nicely. So like I said, I have layer cakes. I probably have way too many layer cakes. But I think I could see making this again and again. So maybe the next time I make this quilt, I will use one of my layer cakes. But I'm also trying to use my stash. So a lot of these prints I don't have any more of. I may have a tiny bit of scrap. I can show you the little handful of it because when you're cutting 10-inch squares, you get pretty good use out of your fabric. I did cut 10-inch strips on some of them, and some of them I had fat quarters of. And so when I only had a fat quarter of it, then you have a little bit more left over. And for me, those kind of scraps just go back in my stash. They go back in my regular fabric bins. And so something else that I thought maybe we'd chat about a little bit today. And I guess I should say hello again to anybody who is just popping in. I want to make sure that before I start a new topic, Welcome. Glad you're joining us. And my name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And I am working on a project today that I'll work on intermittently while we chat about things. And if you would like to share what project you're working on, if you have something going on that you'd like to tell us about, we'd love to hear what you're sewing this morning, or knitting, crocheting, cross stitching, whatever is what you like to do on a Saturday morning. So I will grab my little pile of scraps. Okay, so this is the bin that I started with. All right, I pulled all of these fabrics for this quilt, and on some of them, all I have left are these little bits, and these are folded in half, so they might make a 2-inch strip or something like that. So these will not go back into my stash. I will definitely cut these up or put them into my strings or something like that. Maybe not that one. That one's too small. So my question is, if we're talking about scraps, what do you consider a scrap? These for sure, right? But I know everybody has a different definition of this. And let me see if I can find another one here. So this one, a lot of people would call a scrap, or maybe they wouldn't do anything with it at all. So a lot of people would take this fabric and go ahead and decide what to cut it up into and cut it. But I fold this up and I put it back in my stash. I fold selvage to selvage and then into quarters, and then everything is pretty much the same width. And I will fold this up and put this back in my stash, because I don't want to take the time right now to, that to me would be a major distraction to sewing the project. I'm not going to take the time to cut it up, and I don't know what I'm going to use this for. So this could be, looks like a 6.5 inch, at least 6.5 inch squares, which means it could also be 2.5 inch strips or 1.5 inch strips or 4.5. I just don't know what I'm going to want to use it for. So I do not cut stuff up. And so this whole pile will go back into my stash when I'm done with this quilt. And if I have a larger portion, so here's one. So I didn't use all of this fabric, but I had these leftover bits that are like this. And I will actually store all of these together because I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. And it could be that if I cut this all up and put it somewhere else, and I need just another 2.5 inch square, I'm going to have to look everywhere for that last 2.5 inch square, which will drive me crazy, or I can just leave it here. So I just leave it here and put it away as part of my stash. And that's the way I've always done it. I've just always kept the fabric together for as long as possible. But if I'm on the very last of it and there isn't any more for it to go with, then I will put it into one of the other bins. And I have several projects that I will collect for, such as a log cabin, or let me see if I can grab one of the other little ones. So I guess for scraps, when I say what is a scrap, what is it? What size is too small for you to save? For a lot of people, this is too small for anybody to save. That's okay. You don't want to save it? You don't have to. You could bag them up and find a guild friend, I'm sure, that would use them. But if you don't want to do anything with them, you don't have to. And that's okay too. So if you're talking about scraps and how to organize them and how to save them, you kind of need to know where your what your preferred size is and what you like working with, and go from there. I don't think you can really, it's not a one size fits all, because if you hate making string quilts, you're not going to want to save these, right? If you don't like making miniature things, you're not going to, you're never probably going to use those. You could save them and they would just take up space and you may never make anything with them. So I guess figure out what size scraps you actually are willing to work with and really want to see again. And if you don't want to see it again and use it again, get rid of it. However you determine is best for you. Just pass it along and get rid of it. You don't have to keep it if you're not going to use it, because it takes up a lot of space. So with that thought in mind, I am kind of reaching a crossroads as to what I will use in scraps and what I don't think I ever want to use. And Lemon Time, hi, hello. Thanks for joining us. Glad you're here. Anybody else new? I want to welcome everyone in, and thanks for being here and taking some time out. And hopefully, are you working on a project? I hope you are. If you can, that's great. That's wonderful. I'll get back to mine in just a minute. I just digress and wanted to talk about scraps for a little bit, because we're in that time of year in January where I think we're thinking about organizing and what we want to do with and change in our sewing rooms and all of that. So so these are, right now, these are not too small for me, and they're really pretty colors and I like them. But let me show you a bag that I will probably never use, and a bag of scraps that is probably going to have to find a new home. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, there's more than one bag. A long time ago, I used to store my scraps in those drawer units that are on wheels that have the 3 pull-out plastic drawers. And I had a drawer for just about every color. And the problem is that I like to have a lot of open space in I realize that I like having open space, and I don't like having rolling drawers under tables and everywhere like that. So recently, just like in the last couple of months, I decided to bag up all of my scraps, because truth be told, I wasn't using them. And yet here they were taking up valuable floor space. And it's something that I looked at all the time. So I decided that I didn't want to keep them in those plastic drawer units anymore. And what that did is it freed up a bit of floor space. And now I have this whole big baggie of black gray scraps. I have another whole big bag. I have this one even labeled that this is over 5 pounds of fabric of scraps. Now these scraps, can you see how small some of these are? And I'm thinking I may not ever use these. the quantity of this is so vast that I don't know that I want to work with them. But I'm giving myself another year to see how I feel about it. Okay, so lemon thyme, you kind of agree with nothing less than a 2-inch square. Yeah. So, and I do have a string quilt. I have a couple different string quilts in progress, except that I don't work on them often enough. So I need to figure out a way to keep those projects going, because I think I could get a lot of, I mean, these are not necessarily strings. Well, I see a couple of pieces in here that might be. But I may end up, if I don't use these or take them out this year to do something with them, I am probably going to find a new home for these. Offer them for sale, ship them out, give them to my guild, something like that. Because even in these baggies, they take up quite a bit of room. So that, I think that's what we need to figure out, is what size we're comfortable keeping and how much of that stuff we're comfortable keeping. And so these are all from much, much older projects. And I have like 2 more current bins of strings here. And those bins are getting pretty full. And if I don't, that's why I said I need to use, make a more of an effort to stitch and sew with those. I'd say on a weekly basis, wouldn't you? I mean, how else, if you're not sewing with these and making a couple of blocks a week, so then they're going to pile up faster than you use them. And if they're piling up faster than you can use them, that means you don't really need to have them all, or you don't necessarily need to keep them all. Just a thought. So as I keep kind of emptying out, like trying to figure out how I want to go forward, what kind of projects I want to work on, I'm realizing that I don't necessarily want to use a lot of those scraps anymore. They've probably already shown up in several projects, and I'm guessing that I have already culled these so that there isn't anything 2.5 inches or wider in here. That's my guess. But I did start cutting for a log cabin quilt. And so if I could go through them again, pulling out things that I could cut 1.5 inch strips of, then maybe they will still have some use for me. Because those would always look pretty in a log cabin. Even if I was kind of tired of the fabric and had used it many times, I still think it would be okay. It would still work out just fine in a log cabin. Okay, so let's get to the next step of this, right? So I've got my hourglass block sewn. Let me give that a press right here. And this is the back of it, so you can see how I pressed it. I've pressed this one seam up, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know if, actually, I guess I can try flipping it. Let me try that. I didn't do that on the other one. Do you know what I mean when I say kind of flipping it? Okay. So I'm going to open this seam right. I'm going to open this middle seam right here, and I'm going to press this half up and this other half down. Let me do that, because that may actually improve things a bit more. Okay, so I did a spinning of the seams there. And now, let me get all these scraps out of the way. So now this block measures, it should be 12 3/4. Now, isn't that a weird measurement? 12 3/4. But that's okay. This is going to end up finished, sewn into the quilt close to 11 inches. And it doesn't really matter as long as they're all the same. So, and this mat is, not quite big enough. I need to get a little bit better cutting mat here. Here we go. There we go. I forgot I had this one that rotates. I have two that rotate. All right. So let's see if you can see me on this. I know it's not the greatest angle because, and I'm not going to, I still think that if you want to see how this really works, it would definitely be worth going to Missouri Star Quilt Company, and you could certainly watch their video there. She'll probably just give just another take on it. So since this measures 12 3/4, and I want to have 3 equal sections so that when I cut it in twice in each direction, I'm going to end up with what is a piece 9 patch. So I want this to be 3 equal sections. And so that means that I can cut 4 1/4 inches through 4 1/4 inches twice on each side. And this is why the rotating mat is nice, because I don't want to have to pick this up and move it. It would really make a mess of things. Oh, the other thing that I did, sorry, I shouldn't shake my open rotary cutter at you. The other thing I did, I was having trouble with my ruler slipping. I've had this ruler for a really, really long time. And lately, though, I feel like my grip wasn't as good. And so I sprayed all of these with Grippy spray. Have you heard of that? I think I still have some here. Oh, I can't reach it. It's in a spray can. And I sprayed the back of my rulers with it, and it helps my rulers stick. I mean, it helps them stay so much better. It's been really, really helpful. And I say that because it feels like it's almost time for me to spray this again, to spray this one again. All right. So I've made 2 cuts in each direction. And now for the fun part. So these become, remember, this is what we're going for. Okay. So watch how it transforms into that. So this one we're going to turn around, and this one we're going to turn around. I'm going to turn my 4 corners. And now I need to make my star points, right? So here are your star points. So we turn these around. Okay. And lastly, I turn the 4 patch in the center. I turn it a quarter of a turn so that you have opposite colors here. Isn't that cool? I had not, somehow, I know this tutorial has been around for a really long time, but I missed it. Hadn't seen it. Have you seen it? Is it new to you also, or have you seen it before? But I love it, and it is, it's really, really cool. Okay, let's see. Oh, Christy Lou, so you did get rid of your tiny scraps. Aha, I am, you know what? I am thinking that it will feel like a weight is lifted off of my shoulders as well to get rid of some of this fabric that I don't think I'm going to use. That's kind of, so I'm glad to hear that. I am really thinking that that's very, very possible. So so I think I may end up doing that. So good to hear. And lemon thyme, you also say you have that spray. And yeah, I do think it works really, really well. So now I am going to sew this block together like a 9 patch. Should I get that spray out? Do you guys want to see that? It'll just take me a second. I have to go around here behind the computer and grab that. Because, you know, the reason that I was replacing some of the rulers with those really nice Quilter Select rulers is because they were slipping. And so I did talk about this on one of my episodes, but I should have it out here for you too. So it does not stain fabric, and it is acid-free and quick dry. But it is, you know, it is a spray can, so you do have to be careful using it. When I did this, it was inside the house. Yes, probably should have taken it out to the garage, but I put my ruler inside my trash can, an empty trash can with a liner in it, and sprayed it while the ruler was down inside the empty trash bag. And so hopefully it kept spray from going everywhere, and it seemed to work. So that's what I did. But next time I'll probably not be quite so hasty, and I'll probably take it out to the garage. So you shake it, and then you spray a thin layer, and you let it dry for a minute before using it. So, and I did that maybe a month or so ago, maybe a month or so ago. But I sew a lot. I use my rulers a lot. You know, this is the one that I use probably the most. And so there's a little bit of grip left on it, but it's probably about time to respray it. And so that was the other thing I thought would be interesting is once you spray it, how long does it last? And so for me, I'm going to say it's probably going to be something that I need to do fairly often on the ones that I use the most. So let's start sewing this together. So you can at least see one of these blocks in progress. But I like things that can be sewn like a 9 patch or a 4 patch. And here I was thinking this was going to be so difficult. And really not. Let's see. A little chain piecing here. I would actually love to see how other people piece their blocks and watch them actually sew something, because I have a feeling that we all sew, once we're at our machines, that we all sew very, very differently. And I think it would be interesting. Do you go on retreat? Does anybody out there go on retreats and you're around other people that go around and watch what other people are doing? I haven't been on a retreat in quite a while. Probably just lack of planning more than anything else. And of course, yeah, it takes a lot of planning to go on a retreat. I'll do well when I travel. Last time I traveled, I took a couple of hand projects with me. And so that was good. I made progress on those. Are you a fast sewer, or do you sew, you feel like you're a slow sewer? I think I get a fair amount done, but I feel like I'm a pretty slow sewer. I don't go racing through my seams. Not for any particular reason. It's just the way it is. So I'm going to press. So I have pressed towards these white squares and towards the center. I shouldn't say that. Towards the outside on this and towards the middle block on this one, on this row, so that my seams will nest. So just 2 more seams and the block is done. I think it was a good idea for me to spin those seams in the back, because now this middle seam is also aligning, is also nesting as well. So I'll show you that in just a second. I don't think that was mentioned when in the tutorial. The other project I have here, I have a leader ender project, and it is the borders for my mystery Bonnie Hunter mystery quilt. So I should actually be stitching on that at the same time. Let's see. Okay. Oh, all right. So you sew with another group, and if you sew online, um, oh, you go to the group. You go to the Project Linus is an in-person sewing group. Lemon Time, was that what you mean? Uh, and Christy Lou, yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a group that I sew with once a month, and that's the extent of my retreat experience lately. I hope if I can get to that sewing group, then that's really great. I don't have kids at home anymore, um, so I could do retreats, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, everybody has, yeah. It's really nice to be able to get out for those, at least for one day, isn't it? I do keep a bag. I bet you do too. Um, I keep a bag for those sewing days with all my supplies in it. And I do actually have a second machine. I don't take this machine with me when I go to sew once a month. I have a smaller Janome that I use. It's a 3160, and I really like it. It's lightweight. It sews really well. Uh, Setup is really easy. Has a little table so that there's a bigger sewing space for sewing table on it. So that's really nice. Okay, so the block is done. So these are the border units that I'm assembling for my mystery Bonnie Hunter mystery quilt. And so right now, well, first I sewed the flying geese units together. And then the next, after I had all the flying geese units sewn, I sewed these two together once we found out the instructions for that. And then I did twosies, and now I'm doing foursies. So I'll grab two more from my pile here. And sew those. And then we'll have the reveal of that quilt block. So, Lemon Time, when you meet up for your Project Linus, do you bring all of your own supplies, your sewing machine and your project and your and fabric for that, or do you meet somewhere where you are provided with the fabric? I'm just curious how that works. Oh, Mary, you can't hear me? Was I too far away? Maybe I had gotten too far away from. Otherwise, is anybody else having trouble hearing me? It should be working. I don't see anything to indicate that my microphone isn't working. Maybe I had just stepped too far away from it. Is it? Okay. All right. All right. I'll try to be closer to the. Okay. So I'm going to give this a press, and then you'll see. Ta-da! What do you think? I actually think that this could make a great block for busting your stash for, if I used kid prints instead of these capes and white, that could actually be make really nice quilts for donation too. And it's like I said, here I am. I'm chatting, so I'm really not sewing the whole way, but sewing all the time. But the only thing, I guess this is a couple of tips from it. Yes, I would spin this seam in the back right here. I would spin that seam and press one side up and one side down. And then then you can nest this seam here so that there's not as much bulk. This is the back of it, so you can see how I pressed it. And when I'm pressing, I'm trying to make sure that I have pressed these points out so that they're nice. It feels like there's very little matching because all of these seams nest, and you could pin them if you wanted to, but I think this came out pretty nicely. And because this block extends past the points, you don't have to worry about chopping off your exterior points at all. So, I really am liking this, and I could see doing it in a whole bunch of different colorways whenever I need to bust my stash. So if you like it, and you are good with cutting your own 10-inch squares, you've got a lot more possibilities with this. So I think, hi, Jane. Yes, I got another one done. Jane was the one who helped me figure out what this block was. And yes, Google Images works really, really well. And why do I forget that? I guess because I'm old, because I'm not used to using Google Images. I'm used to just asking somebody. So let me grab a sip of coffee here. So welcome everybody. If I don't think I've said anything lately, I'm glad you are here, and hope you're having a good Saturday morning. And this is my basement studio at my home. And I live in Indiana, where we are awaiting a big snowstorm is supposed to arrive. And all I can think of is, oh, if I was doing my temperature quilt this year, it would have been a really interesting month for all of my colors, because we would have gotten to use so many colors in January already, because we've been below zero and we've been up to the 40s. I would have been able to use so many different color fabrics just in 1 month. That's how crazy it's been. So I am no, it's not bourbon. It is decaf coffee. I decided to give up caffeine last year, and I once in a while I have a cup of regular coffee, and I love coffee. I really do. But I still like to have my decaf in the morning. I still drink that all the time. I never was much of a soda drinker, and so it's pretty much coffee and water for me all day, maybe a little bit of milk, but that's, yeah, pretty simple when it comes to my beverage. So, shall I make another block, or would anybody like to Um, like to hear about something else. Are there any questions about scraps, about how I store my scraps? I didn't do a lot of it. I just showed you those big bags of my oldest scraps. Um, I could show you a couple of uh, projects that I collect my scraps for. Um, oh yes, we have a snowstorm coming. It's going to hit later today, tonight, sometime, and I had been grocery shopping already this week, and but I did ask my husband to go out and get some more cat food because I just picky cat. I didn't want to run out of cat food and have to go through slushy, muddy, yucky roads on Tuesday when we ran out. So, oh, okay. Oh, I have lots. Yes, thank you, Mary. I am well stocked in the wine department. That's always I haven't been for a long time, but I have plenty. You're too far away from me to be able to go and and borrow some of yours, especially in a snowstorm. So anyway, all right. So let me grab one of my two of my other little buckets. Two, three. I'll grab a couple of my other buckets that I have some scraps in, and maybe it'll give you some ideas. Um, so first of all, this project, this Bonnie Hunter mystery, is always a scrap buster for me. Always works well. So I cut from yardage, not actually from scraps, but I did cut up quite a bit of my small pieces of yardage, like the ones that I showed you before, where there's only a 6-inch strip. Well, you can get a lot of pieces for a flying geese out of small strips like that. So if you and the cool thing is that if I made them like this for a quilt that I knew I was working on, you could have the most awesome borders for this. And that's one reason why I really like her mystery quilts, is because we always get really good borders from her patterns. She always has something interesting. And so if you use common colors all the time, or you know that you have a quilt coming up, you could definitely bust into some of your smaller pieces of yardage and use this as your leader ender the way I am. Her instructions are really good, and they are on her blog. That's quiltville.blogspot.com. Or just go to quiltville.com and look for the mystery quilt instructions. They'll be up there for another week or two, maybe until early February. Oh yes, yes, toilet paper is is a definitely. We all learned our lesson in COVID, didn't we? That we need to stock up on toilet paper. We've got that covered, and cat litter. I have cat litter. That's all good. I am. The other suggestion I saw from somebody, she's like, to heck with the milk and bread. You got to stock up on your favorite snacks. If you're going to be stuck inside, you got to have your favorite cheese and crackers or chips and dips and all this kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, there's my kind of gal. That's what we need to stock up on. Oh, so before I show you the scraps, another diversion. So I am probably going to make some sourdough bread this afternoon, and I might try making some sourdough crackers, which I have not done before, but I have a couple of recipes for sourdough that I want to start, or that I want to try. And so I think as long as I think we'll keep power. Hopefully we'll keep power the whole time. But that will be something I'll be doing this afternoon. And that would be really yummy because then if I make some soup and have that nice homemade bread, that'll be really, really yummy. So, any other sourdough bread makers out there? Anybody else doing that? And if you do, and you have a favorite resource, somebody who you follow uh, that has given you really good instruction or recipes that you really like, um, post them in the comments, please. Please, I'd like that. So, all right. Let me go and grab a couple of my scraps that I've been cutting up. There's one. There's another. Okay, I've got a couple different little bins to show you here. I wish I could find my tiny house. Oh, wait a minute, they're right here. And hold on, there's one more. I gotta find my color wash quilt. I'm here. I'm just looking. Okay, what I really need is I need a schedule of some type to keep me working on these because they sit and sit and sit in between the times that I work on them, and I'll work on them maybe really well for a little while, and then I'll put them aside and they'll sit there for months and not get worked on. And that's the case with this one. So, but I really like it. I just haven't worked on it for a while. So this is my tub of the Terry Rowland color wash blocks. And I have a total of 210. And these use really small pieces. Can you see that? Is that better? So you can use any size center that you want to, and so see, there's one with a bigger center, and let's see some of a different color. So you start out with, and that's why I keep a little container with what I call centers. And it's, let's see, where's my centers? Okay. So this little tub, let me pull my chair in. This little tub is called Centers and First Round. And so from this, I don't cut anything to size, but I have all of these pieces that will be perfect for the center of any of those little blocks that I just showed you. And then if I was doing it more log cabin style, and doing improv, that can be the first round. And I'm not bothering to trim it to size because I'll trim it as I go. And so this whole little container is what I call centers and first round. And so if it's small, it goes in there. And yes, it is smaller than a 2-inch strip. So I have enjoyed sewing smaller pieces. And these are like only the more recent ones. So this is not divided by color, it's divided by size, because that's how I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it when I want to make some more of those color wash blocks. I will dig in here for the centers, and then the outer parts can be anything from, it has to be at least 1.5 inches wide, but you don't need to trim it to size because you trim it when the block is done. Maybe next time I could sew a couple of those and see, and if you'd like to see how I do those. But Terry Rowland, again, has a tutorial on her website, and there are a lot of people who are making this. But I haven't made any progress on it in a long while. It's just sat. So I'd like to empty this bin out a little bit by making a few blocks. So those go together. This other baggie I have are scraps that I have kind of set aside for making these little tiny paper pieced houses. And let's see if I have any of my finished blocks in here. Yeah. So I don't have too many. I have maybe a dozen of these little tiny house blocks. And they're fun to sew. They really are. But I just haven't made any lately. So if I do feel like sewing with scraps, then these blocks can also be made with the same fabrics that's in that little bin of, because the centers could be the doors, the centers, or you're doing the little house part, that doesn't take much. So I can use that for all my other little bits and pieces. And they're fun to do. Let's see, let's get that back into the right bag. And I'm finding baggies that to be taking up less room, so I'm tending to store these projects in baggies that I can throw around. So this drawer has parts and pieces of things. So I have a whole little baggie of small half square triangles. So when I get around to making my orphan block quilt that I want to make this year, these will definitely be useful for filling spaces that to make things mathematically work out. And so this whole drawer is filled with other batches of these a lot of half square triangles, but I've even made, can you see these? Teeny tiny basket blocks, and those are about 2.5 inches. So I have really enjoyed making things with tiny pieces, but it's been a while. I have some teeny tiny 4 patches in there. I keep some of my patterns from my postcard patterns from Temecula Quilt Company in here, because those are always quite tiny. And you can always make these cute little tiny bow tie blocks. And I have a little stack of these cute little blocks in here. Oh, this is fun. I remember making these. So I need to do something with these, don't I? They're so cute. Look at the size of this stack of these little things. So I need to, every once in a while I need to dig into these, but I need to kind of get a schedule for myself so that I remember to get in here and use some of these. So these are parts and pieces. And then the next one is another paper pieced one. I think I find it easier to use paper piecing when I'm dealing with with really tiny pieces. So this is from Quilt Maker magazine. It was called Wild and Goosey. And I have, again, around a dozen or so blocks of all different types. And what I keep in this drawer is I keep all the cutoffs from making bindings, from joining binding strips. So these are all triangles that are from like 2.5 inch or 2 1/4 inch strips from my binding. And so I have made a bunch of these. There are 13 pieces in each one of these. They're not super fast to make, but they're pretty darn cute. And so I just, again, it's a project in the waiting that I could make as my leader and ender if I didn't have something else going on. And then of course I've got my log cabin. So I don't want to tip this too much or it'll all fall out. So as I want to cut strips, like that handful of ones that I showed you from leftovers from cutting my 10-inch squares, those will probably end up in here being cut into 1.5-inch strips. And when this tray gets filled up enough, then I will start making blocks. But so I'm just in the collecting stage right now for this. This is just a new, it's a cookie sheet that I bought off of Amazon, I think. And so those are some of the projects that I use my tiniest scraps for. And then since I haven't really been sewing that much with them, it makes me wonder if I should just, when I will continue with those or not continue with those. And so since I have enough to work on for all of those, I don't know if I'm going to keep those big scrap bags or not. So if you had just been joining me, I showed this huge bag. I have a bag like this for every color. So these are the warm colors, pinks and reds, mostly pinks and reds. And this is, according to my little note here, this is over 5 pounds of scraps. And so every color has a baggie like that. And so that's way too many scraps. So, sorry, I missed. So let's go back. So there is a fabric coordinator for your group. All right, for Project Linus. And oh my goodness, she keeps all the fabric at her house. I don't wanna be that person. That would be wow, what a job she's taken on to be the coordinator and bring all those. Um, but that is just a wonderful thing that she's doing to be the coordinator for that. Um, and Judy made another, a loaf of cheddar jalapeno bread. Oh, so what do you chop up? I gotta ask Judy if where the jalapenos, like what, did she cut them up? Were they canned jalapenos or what did she cut up for the jalapeno? That sounds really, really good. Um, she's got to send me that recipe. So I've been watching a couple different people, and when I make their bread, like next time I can share that. So um, that's just a fun little hobby. And I guess maybe it's because it's winter time. It's kind of fun to make bread. So oh, she's using all right. So she's cutting up fresh jalapenos. All right. All right. One year in our garden, we did grow some jalapenos, and I don't know how to use them. And I know how to use regular peppers, but I'm really not familiar with, and I really don't know how to use jalapenos. So um, it's a matter of, I guess, doing a little research and figuring out what and how to use them. Just like if you were starting sourdough from scratch, you just have to do a whole lot of research on it. Sourdough is super easy to start, and very easy to refresh. And I found a really interesting article that talked about uh, different ratios, and that was the newest thing that I learned, was that the ratio of sourdough starter to flour and water that you're using to refresh it is the ratio determines how quickly the new starter will be ready to use. And so the more flour and water that you put in, the longer it takes for that starter to get bubbly and active again, which makes sense, right? And if you need it to be ready sooner because you want to bake bread the next day, you have less, 1 to 1 to 1. So a half a cup of starter to a half a cup of flour and a half a cup of water. And that gets bubbly really, really fast. But that was new to me. I was always, that part of the science of it was always a little bit of a question for me, because I every recipe seemed to be different about, oh, you use this much of this and this much of that, and I didn't understand the why it was always seemed to have different proportions until I read that little article. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I see. Now I see. That's cool. That's interesting. So again, so what other hobbies do you like to do? If you are here because you are a quilter, tell me what other hobbies you like to do. I would love to know what other, whether it's athletic or like sports or music or other crafts. What other what other things, pastimes do you enjoy? Um, I like I said, I do a little bit of sourdough, but I also run and hike. So those are the other things that I enjoy getting outside. I love my time in the mountains when I can get there, or out in amongst the trees, and nature walks and things like that. So um, I won't be getting outside very much the next couple of days, and I don't like that. I like to be able to get outside and um, and enjoy the fresh air. I think my mom taught me that. My mother is just turned 96, and she still goes out for walks every day. And so when I'm there visiting her, it's always at least a couple of short walks a day. And so I, but at 6 degrees, what is it now? I don't know. What's the temperature now? We're at 7 degrees, and with a wind chill, I'm not sure what that is. That might be a little chilly for me. I'd have to make it a very quick walk to go outside. Um, so, but yeah, tell me what else. I'd love to see what else what else you're working on. Anyone else? Anyone else sewing this morning? How's your sashing going? Are you still working on that sashing? Let me see. That was Christy Lou. If you're still there, how are you coming on your sashing? Are you getting a lot of that done? Yep, we've got about 25 minutes or so left. As long as my voice doesn't give out. And so the next time we will meet will be 2 weeks from today. And I'd also like to know, oh, good, Jane. She's got her binding almost done. And Jane, are you binding this quilt? Is this the one that you're doing? I don't know, Jane, I don't know if you heard me earlier. I said that I worked on my binding for my blue and white quilt, and I got that done last night. I took a lesson from you. You powered through your other really big pixel quilt. It seemed like you got it done in a day. And so I parked myself on my couch last night, and I got the binding done on my blue and white one. So let me go get that. Maybe you all like to see that one. It's right here. I don't have to go far. As long as I can kind of get my chair out of the way, maybe you'll be able to see it well enough. We'll see. I can hold it up and hope for the best. So the stripes are like this on the top and the bottom. See, top and the bottom. And the backing has pieced backing. And so this was a stash buster for me. Let's see. And this is the quilting pattern on it. Can you see that? So that is my second finish for the year. And yesterday I quilted one of my projects. You can see my long arm behind me. If you're not familiar with if we're only just meeting now, then I'm a long armor and I do my own, so I quilt my own projects and I quilt some for other people sometimes, and not a lot, but sometimes. And so I have this way. I have a Handy Quilter Fusion. It's a 24-inch long arm, and it takes up a lot of space in my basement, but that's okay. I love doing edge to edge. I do very little custom work. I mostly like to do edge to edge, and because it suits me just fine. And so yesterday I quilted one of my stash busters from last year, and so I'm getting my 2025 projects to the finish line. And so I'm really happy about that. I usually in the mornings I'll do a little bit of record keeping and correspondence, of course. And so, but I didn't do it this morning, but I want to look up to see how many more projects that I started in 2025 that I still need to finish. Um, my my goal in January was to finish my temperature quilt and this stash buster quilt, which I show on my episodes. So in addition to doing the live stream, I've started doing the live stream every other week, and then on the opposite weeks, I'll be airing new episodes. So the next episode will be out on either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday coming up. And then we'll do another live stream 2 weeks from today. Thank you, Jane. Yes, I am happy about having having that binding done. So we'll be able to kind of get, meet up almost every week between the live streams and the episodes, and being able to hear from what everybody's doing. And so I think I really like that schedule. But if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear about and talk about, let me know. You can put it in the comments, or you can drop me an email. My email address is luckystarquilts@gmail.com, and I can put that into the description box. So, but I am really happy to have all of you here today, and hopefully you are getting something done, working like Jane, 3/4 of the way done. Could you get it done in the next half hour? You might be able to. You're close. Keep going at it, and you'll have it done by lunchtime. That'd be great. And then we need to get together so you can bring me the next one when you want the next one done. So Jane and I are working on finishing some of the projects from a friend of ours that passed away in the fall. And I've talked about Sonia in a couple of the episodes as I've shown the quilts that we've been finishing together. And I'm doing the long arm work for it, and Jane's doing everything else. She's doing so much incredible work to get these projects of our friend done and back to their families. So it's been a really a cool thing I'm really honored and glad that I can do it, and I'm more than happy to do it. And so that has been a labor of love, and but it doesn't even seem like a labor. It is just been a really, really good experience. And I hopefully for you too, Jane, I hope it's been really fun. We've been able to collaborate on some things and get these projects done. So, and I still have plenty of time to do my things, so it's not been any kind of overwhelm at all. It's actually been really, really good. So But I'll encourage you to get your UFOs done, or to keep those friends close who will finish them for you after you're gone. We all need to make plans for that, as to what is going to happen to our stuff when we go. So if you are of a certain age, you've probably already considered it, but you want to have a plan. You want to know what's going to happen. And one of my plans is that anything that it does not go to friends or family, I'm okay with it going to Goodwill or to my guild. I'm okay with that. I have seen so many wonderful stories of people who have gone into Goodwill and found a treasure, found something that has made them so, so happy. And if my quilts, my extra quilts were donated like that, or my fabric was donated like that, and it made somebody really, really happy because they could get it for very inexpensively, win-win. I'm good with that. I don't mind that at all. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep stitching away and trying to finish as many things and start as many things as I can. So I'm up to 3 starts so far in January, and this one is my 3rd start, and I am contemplating starting one more because this month I am trying to use and work through some blue scraps. So that's why that one that I just showed up was all done in blue. I have another one going on in blue. This one is not blue. And so I think the Zip It quilt, I think that's the name of it. Zip It by, is it Emma Jean Jansen? I think is the designer. She did a sew along. Is it over? Maybe the sew along is over. I'm not sure. But there's still lots of people, I'm sure, who are working on it, even if the sew along is technically over. And it looks like it'd be a really simple, fun thing to sew. And I think I'd like to do it and use, make each column a different color. And if I didn't want to do each column a different color, I could at least sew a whole bunch of blue scraps up and incorporate blue as I get going. And then next month, I don't know what the color will be. Next month, I'll work on making more of those Zip It units in the next color, and then so on each month. Just use that as one of my projects to keep powering through some of my scraps. And so I like having a plan like that. I think that would really work for me. And then the other thing is, I don't know, maybe on weekends I should be doing some of these other little projects that I put aside. I need some ideas for how to get some of those waylaid projects that are especially the ones that use the scraps, get those going again and be able to keep working on those. So if you have any suggestions, tell me what you do, tell me what works for you. Or do you just work on one thing at a time? I'm interested if you work on one project at a time. Or let's take a poll. How many projects do you have going on at any one time? Write that, count them up really quickly and put those into the chat, and let me see how many projects you work on at any one time. And I could say that I almost always have something to bind. I'm always this year now, I'm really trying to focus on always having something to work on by hand, and I do. It's over on my table over there. And one thing that I need to make a backing for, so I have actually 2 quilts now that I need to make backings for. So it's that whole stream, that whole cycle, that one to bind, one to quilt, one to make a backing for, and at least 1 or 2 to sew on. So I'll be sewing on these, and I will be sewing my Bonnie Hunter Mysteries. Oh, look at that. I only have a couple more to go. Ooh, let me get these done really quickly. And then I'll have all my foursies done. Here I am, I'm talking, I'm not getting anything else done. So, but I will always have at least one main project and maybe a side project or two. Okay. Yes, right? Different stages, right? That's the way I work too. I have things in different stages, and then that works for me. But I don't want to have too many projects out to be sewn at any one time. I don't have. I only have these. I only have these blocks up on my design wall right now. Sometimes I'll have a second project sitting there for a little while if I am trying to decide what to do with it. But I tend not to leave things on my design wall. That one, the design wall really stays pretty much for just my current project. Okay. Oh, Janet, thank you for joining us. You usually have a binding to do and a scrap. Okay, scrap quilt, and okay, and one to long arm. Okay. Oh, good. So you're a long armer too. Oh, wonderful. Tell me what long arm machine you have, and whether you like to do custom edge to edge. What do you like to do when you long arm? Yeah. When I get tired of something, I tend to put it away. And maybe that's what happens, is that I can work on something. I can work on blocks for a little while, and then maybe I'm tired of working on it, and that's when it gets put away. I have been better in recent years about finishing what I start. I used to have a pile of quilt tops, and that was when I was really long arming full time, and I just had too many quilts to do for other people, and I didn't get my own done. And so when I kind of backed off of the amount of quilting that I was doing for other people, was able to get through that pile of quilt tops. And so now I'm pretty well up to date on that part of it, but I still have lots and lots of UFOs. Oh, I don't like the way that one came out at all. I must have been talking too much. We'll have to take that one apart. Let's see. I don't like to have too many out at a time. And okay, use a Gammill Classic. Okay. All right. So you must be quilting for a long time, because I think that Gammill Classic has been around. I mean, you had it for a really long time. I know someone else who uses one, and she's owned hers for, I want to say, 20 years or more. She's had her Gammill Classic. And do they still sell Gamels, or I thought they were bought out by somebody. Anyway, I may be wrong. Um, so I love my handy quilter, and I have had it from since 2007. So, and it's been something that I have once I got things figured out, I have really enjoyed having it. Um, I do have a whole bunch of rulers that I can use, and I'm thinking I may actually go back to experimenting with some of the other rulers that I have when I have. So now that I'm not doing quite as many quilts a year, uh, I feel like I maybe have a little bit more bandwidth, a little bit more headspace that I could actually do some ruler work. Yeah, see? I figured you'd had yours for a long time, Janet. That's great. That's great. Uh, and okay. So, oh, Christy Lou. All right. One piece going on and one hand. Oh, hand applique. All right. All right. Oh, good. Good. Yeah, you need to have, if you can do any kind of handwork at all, I think it's a really good carrying project. I have one very small project that I need to finish hand quilting. And so I'd like to have that done by the end of the month as well. It's small, so I really should be able to do it. And that is something that I had started just last year. And so again, when I think back to, all right, let's not let things linger too much. I have not done an accounting of I know how many projects I finished last year. I finished 45, but they weren't all started last year. So I want to look at it from another angle and say, okay, of all the ones that I started, how many of them did I finish? Or am I just adding to my pile of UFO projects? So I might look into that, um, and see where I stand that way as well. So, um, well, and before our time ends today, I just want to say how much I enjoyed being able to hear from everybody, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. And I hope that you'll come back 2 weeks from today. What is that? What is 2 weeks from today? Is that February 7th? I don't have my calendar in front of me. And if you have time and you put it on your calendar and come back in a couple weeks, and let's see what kind of progress you're making on your projects. I'd love to hear about it, and have you come back again. And my next episode will be up on YouTube by next weekend, by next Saturday. And you're getting a glimpse at a little further glimpse at some of the things that I talk about in the episode. You're getting a earlier look at some of the things that I show in the episode, because my son does my editing for me, and so I get the video footage to him so that he has about a week or so to work on it before I put it up on YouTube. So the quilt that I just showed you that was finished will appear not to be finished in the episode, but you will know when I talk about it. You will know that blue and white one is actually done, that the binding is done. So I hope you'll join me there. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it so much if you did. I would love to have you subscribe and join that way too. I do have a membership option that's also available, and I am going to be working on some content for members only. So that is in the development stage. At this point, members will have early access to videos. And so if you'd like to consider that, that would be wonderful. I'm just very slowly growing this community, and it is not a job for me. It is not something that I want to have to be a job. I want to do it for fun and for everybody else to have to get some enjoyment from it. And so if you can join me in any of those, that would I'd just be glad to have you come. So a couple of minutes. Anything else that you would like to see, or anything else that comes to mind? I want to make sure that I give you a chance to ask me anything. Meantime, I'll get another one of these blocks ready. Remember, I'm sewing around the edge on these on all four sides to make these blocks. And if you were didn't hear the earlier part, then the on making these blocks, this was a Missouri Star Quilt Company tutorial called the Disappearing Hourglass. And I just had quilted one for a friend of mine, and I loved her so much that I decided that I needed to make one too. So yesterday I cut my squares, and I have 42 squares of Kona white and 42 squares of different red and pink fabrics, pink, red, a lot of Kaffe, not all Kaffe, but a lot of Kaffe. And I have 42 squares of that sewn. And the first step in sewing these is to sew around all four edges. So if the snowstorm comes, as long as I have power, I'm going to be sewing up these blocks. That's my plan, to keep working on these. I have another binding to put on, and I have a backing, two backings to make. I also have some cutting to do for this mystery quilt. I have not, oh, why isn't that one sewn? Sorry about that. So I have some more cutting to do for the alternate blocks on this quilt. And so that's another one that I have in progress. And we'll see what gets done between now and next time. So again, thanks for being here. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And you can reach me on email if you want to drop an email to luckystarquilts@gmail.com. I am on Instagram as ST as in Thomas Brokaw, and I am also on Facebook, and I can put those links in the description box below. Happy sewing to you, and thanks for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Take care. Be safe in the snow. Bye-bye.